to put it together live stream. It is Saturday, March 15, 2025. And what is that that just dinged on my computer? Let me turn this off. Welcome to the show. It is so cool to be back on Saturday mornings. We've had some really special shows this month. For those of you that don't know, March is colorectal cancer awareness month. It is also the month that we celebrate anal cancer awareness, which is actually next Friday, March 21st. And if you haven't been watching our series on cancers this month, please make sure to go over to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn so you can catch up on those shows. By the way, if you're watching us on Facebook and LinkedIn, please make sure to share this on your page or share this with the family and friends and include them in the fun and the conversation. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you scroll down, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. It'll let you know every time there's a new show on the air. And remember that here at Little Mexican Productions Inc., we have shows pretty much every day of the week. Mondays, you can catch us on the Goat and Crab Show. On Wednesdays is the Christian and Danny Show. And of course, Saturdays, it's Put It Together live stream. And then every once in a while, we throw in those special shows during the week. So make sure you stay in touch. I want to say hello also to our Instagram friends who are watching us. And although Instagram is not directly connected to StreamYard, I am keeping an eye on the show. On the page to make sure that I include your comments and questions. So if you are watching the show live and you have a question for my guests, please make sure to post them and I'll make sure they come up. Today, I am really excited about today's show because this is an interview that's a long time coming. We just hadn't had a chance to put our schedule together. So mind you that we worked together for 6 years and we never could find the time to have him on the show. But it was about time and our schedules coordinated and I'm very excited to have him on the show. So let me tell you a little bit about my dear friend, Guy Anthony. Let me put my glasses on because I can't read. Guy Anthony is a well-respected HIV/AIDS activist, community leader, and author. Diagnosed with HIV as a teen, Guy has dedicated his adult life to neutralizing local and global HIV/AIDS-related stigmatization. He released Positively Beautiful, Affirmations, Advocacy, and Advice on World AIDS Day in 2012. He was named one of the top 100 HIV prevention leaders under 30 by Pause Magazine and one of the top 100 Black LGBTQ SGL emerging leaders to watch by the National Black Justice Coalition and one of the DBQ magazine's Loud 100. In 2018, Guy was named one of the top 35 millennial influencers by the Next Big Thing, Inc. as one of 6 Black companies you should know by Ebony magazine. Guy served as a program manager coordinator for the Treatment Adherence program at Us Helping Us. He also served as community co-chair on Washington, D.C.'s Ryan White Planning Council. He's the founder of the Black, Gifted, and Hope Foundation. Guy currently resides in Brooklyn, New York, and is focused on expanding Black, Gifted, and Whole into international markets. Guy also launched Grover, New York, a line of affordable fine leather unisex messenger bags, and we're going to show you those during the show, so stick around. So without further, because this man is super busy, Guy Anthony.
Hi, Dee.
How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love you so much, so I had to make it work for you.
It's, like I said in the intro, we tried forever, and something always happened. But reading your bio,
I know.
It's always interesting when you read somebody's bio, you're like, okay, I think I'm busy, and then you read somebody's bio, you're like, man, do you have time to breathe?
I know. You know what? Surprisingly, am I delayed? Because I look delayed on my side.
No, you sound good.
Okay. Yeah, no. So surprisingly, I'm able to compartmentalize the work, right? Like I know, like I've been working for myself for like 8 or 9 years now. And so I had to learn this. Like on Monday, I do this work, nothing else. On Tuesday, I do just this work. And on Wednesday, I do just this work. So just sort of making sure that I dedicate my time and energy to one thing per day instead of all of the things that I do. It's literally changed my life and my productivity. Like I'm so much more productive because I just focus on one thing per day.
That's smart. Yeah, I color code my calendar so that I know like every entry has its own color. So that way I know like, oh, you're working on this today.
Wow.
Because otherwise, it gets hectic. And we'll talk more about owning your own business and how we can end that. But for those of you that are always wondering how I know my guest, because they know that sometimes I stalk people to get them on the show. But Guy Anthony and I have both known each other for about 7 years now. We were both part of and you guys heard me talk about this all the time. We were both part of the Positively Fearless campaign with Johnson & Johnson. And actually, I have something that will strike a little memory. Do you remember this photo?
Oh, wow. Oh, look at my babies.
This is the original photo shoot in
wow.
2018 for the Positively Fearless campaign. This is like technically the first professional photo, because I couldn't find it right now, but there's a photo of us in the lobby of the hotel. And I tell the story all the time. There's a photo of us in the lobby of the hotel the first time we actually like met as ambassadors. And but I couldn't find it right now. So I was like, but yeah, so we're both Positively Fearless alumni, I guess we could say.
I guess so. I mean, this is the first year in 6 years that we've not been on monthly calls or, weekly updates via our text group, our text chain group. So it's a little weird. We were a mess in New Orleans last year. Like, it was just, we were like, I was crying. We were just emotional because we knew that was going to be the last time that we were all together. But then we'll be together this year at Healthy Voices. So we'll see each other again.
Yes. And then because we're both in the advocacy community, we bump into each other at conferences and stuff. So we'll talk about that off the camera. But so let's get started, because there's a lot to talk about. Guy Anthony, tell us how you put it together.
With a lot of hard work, right? And tenacity and drive. And so I just automatically thought of how I put together Grover, and it happened during COVID and in quarantine, and literally sitting in my home because there was nothing else to do, and then sort of getting back to my roots of designing and fashion. A lot of people don't know that I went to school for fashion marketing, and so I pivoted, obviously, to start work in public health, but it felt really great to get back to my first love, which is fashion. And so putting it together, it's been a trial. It has definitely been difficult, and it's still very difficult now, 4 years or 5 years later. But putting it together has been a journey. It has, yeah.
So we're talking about, obviously, in the title of the show, it's HIV advocate and designer. We talked about it a little bit in the bio.
Yeah.
Can we go a little bit back? I know we shared the story 100 million times, but can you? For the folks that are getting to know you today, can you walk us back to diagnosis and how you got into advocacy? Because let's clarify. Not everybody who is diagnosed with HIV immediately goes into advocacy work.
Absolutely.
But how was that journey for you?
Yeah, so I was so it's a little bit complex because I was infected at 19, diagnosed at 21. So this year would be 20 years of me living with HIV. And so I was sexually assaulted. I've told this story many times in Philadelphia. And after the sexual assault happened, the next week I was deathly ill. I had to fly home to Detroit. And at that time, it wasn't customary for a doctor to give you an HIV test when you came in through ER. And so they couldn't find anything wrong with me. And, obviously I seroconverted because I was just deathly ill. I couldn't keep anything down. I was losing weight. It was terrible. So fast forward to 2 years later, I had moved to LA, and a dear friend of mine had called and told me that they were HIV positive. And I had felt and known, because something was just, you just know. I'll say that. You just kind of know. And especially I had never been sick like that before. And then I'm remembering, what happened during the sexual assault. And so I literally was living in LA, and I was walking past the LA Lesbian and Gay Center in Hollywood, West Hollywood. And I can't tell you what made me walk up those stairs to get that test, but I just did. Because after a close friend disclosed to me, I'm like, Guy, you need to confirm what you already feel and what you kind of already know. So I went in there, got the test. I think that was the longest hour I've ever waited. It felt like days, months, years waiting for the doctor to come back in and tell me that I had HIV. And when they came in, they looked at me and I looked at them, and I took that journey back to the office, and they told me at that moment that I had HIV. At 21 years old, I'm still a baby, my first year in LA. And I always say that it was, if I were not driven to live and wanted to live so badly, I would have dropped out of care forever, because it felt so sterile. Like, it was just so, everything happened like it was supposed to happen, but there was no emotion from the professionals to me. And they gave me my diagnosis, and they took me to a social worker. I'm assuming he was a therapist, and he was just reading off questions to ask me, are you suicidal? Like, and I'm just like, I just got information that will change my life forever. I'm 21 years old in a new town, and you're reading off these questions that was just a part of, the intake process. And I remember, it was about 30 minutes. I was in his office, and I was just like, I was motionless. I remember leaving, walking down those, all those steps of the LA Lesbian and Gay Center, and just started to run. I ran past my apartment, because I also lived in West Hollywood, and not too far from where I tested positive at. I just ran. I ran past my apartment, ran past my block. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what else to do but run. And so, I ran and I cried, and then after that, I just, walked back into the house. I didn't even tell my roommate at the time that I tested positive, because I didn't have the language to communicate that, right? There was still so much stigma around it. This is 2007. And so fast forward a little bit, after leaving LA, because I had to, I was strung out on drugs. I'll be honest. Cocaine was wearing me out, because my emotions were displaced. I couldn't talk to my family about my diagnosis. I really couldn't talk to friends about it. And the only thing that was helping me get through this process was drugs. And about LA, it is so easy to get on drugs in LA. It's so hard to get off. And so, as fate would have it, I went to a friend's house. He was in the process of being robbed. I had no clue, because we had just talked, and he's like, come over. Like, we're hanging out, we're drinking or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. I need to take my mind off of these things. I get to his house. I'm knocking on his door. He doesn't answer. And I'm like, that's weird, because you just told me to come over. Right. To make a long story tolerable, someone peeks through the peek hole, because I wouldn't stop knocking. And also, I had to pee. And so I had to pee. And so a man in like a ski mask opened the door, pulled me in, and there were 3 guys in his foyer with guns pointed at my head. And in the distance, I could see my friend and our other friend on the floor, tied up in LA, right around the corner from Hollywood Boulevard. So all the rumors about LA are fucking true. And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm about to die. And I had on red shoes, I'll never forget. And I was like, oh my God, I have on these red shoes. And they like, oh, y'all on some gay shit. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna kill me because I'm gay. So I'm just freaking out. And like, I'm a church boy, right? I grew up in church. I was a junior deacon. I sang in the choir. My family, everyone's rooted in church. And so I just remember they pushed me into the room. They pushed me to the ground, tied my hands behind my back. They took my watch. They took my wallet, which had my rent money in it. And they started to pistol whip my friend, because he would not tell them where the safe was at. And so I'm getting to a good point. So at that moment, I just knew I was going to die. I just went into prayer. That's all I knew what to do. That's all I knew how to do, was just go into prayer. Like, God, I come to you. Please help me. And so I think it lasted for about 45 minutes. And after my friend told them where the safe was at, like they unlocked it or whatever, took the money, took all the drugs and stuff like that, because I didn't even know my friend was a drug dealer. That's why they were robbing him. So I'm finding all these things out in real time. And so they literally, because they needed him to put the code in, they tied his arms. And so when they got the money and everything, they left. And he had another roommate who was in the back of the condo sleep with their newborn baby. So because they forgot to tape his mouth back up and had his arms free after they left, he went and yelled and knocked on the door to get his roommates, and they came out and saw us all tied up on the floor. And so
How
after,
have you not written the script for this movie?
because it is traumatizing,
how
D. It
has this
is,
not? This
it,
is. I mean, I
yeah,
know I've heard part of the story, but I don't think I've ever actually sat down and heard the whole story
it
in
was
one piece.
traumatizing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So does that? Because I mean, you left LA. Does
Yeah.
that push you
Yes. That's
to
how
be
I,
the advocate?
that's how I left LA. So I called my mom afterwards. I found a lady walking down the street and I asked her to use her cell phone because they took our cell phones too. I called my mom crying like I was just robbed and tied up at gunpoint. She's like, come home. So that allowed me to go back to Detroit. I was only there for 3 months. And so to detox from that lifestyle that I was living in LA. And at that moment, I had known I had HIV. I didn't, share with my mom and them yet. And I had went to school in Atlanta, and my best friend was there as well. And so I ended up relocating back to Atlanta, and that is where my advocacy began, because I was underinsured, oftentimes no insurance at all, and I knew I did not want to die from HIV, because I knew I had so much to do in this world, right? I moved to LA for a reason, like I just would not allow HIV to take me out of here. I'm a fighter by nature. And so I started to volunteer with different ASOs and CBOs, because in my mind, my rationale was, I don't have insurance. I can't get the proper care that I need or deserve. But if I start volunteering with these aid service organizations or community-based organizations, maybe they will be able to connect me with adequate care. And that's exactly what happened.
Gotcha. There's something you
Yeah.
mentioned as you were telling your story. You prayed.
Uh-huh.
How has, because I come from a Catholic family, and
Yeah.
I still, God and the universe are part of my daily life.
Yeah.
How has culture, religion, and social norms played a part in your advocacy work?
Oh, absolutely. I often tell people, like, I grew up very religious, but now I'm more spiritual than religious, right? Because there are some things that are being taught, in traditional Christianity that I just don't agree with. But I am a very spiritual person, and it guides every single thing that I do. I mean, I still even say my blessing before I eat, right? Like, and I haven't been to church in probably 10 years. But there are just certain things you won't do when you have grown up in a religious household, right? Like, there are just certain limits that you just won't cross. And so I think that has kept me sane and a little bit protected, because I do have a praying mother, I have praying aunts, and essentially like my entire family's praying. So I do believe that because they pray for me, that it helps me do things that I couldn't have done on my own volition. And so spirituality is something that I take very seriously, because I do believe that there is a God that guides me and guides the work that I do. There should be no reason that I'm able to work for myself and provide for myself with no college degree in the capacity and way in which I am right now. And all the things that I'm doing out in the world, like, I don't take that for granted. There has to be some sort of God guiding that, right? My steps are ordered in that way.
Yeah, there's, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. There's times when I pause and realize that with the ability that I have to sabotage so many things in my
100%.
life, that there has to be a higher power out there that
Yeah.
is continuously, whether it be God, the universe, or my guardian angels, who deserve a raise, that
Yeah.
are like, I know you want to shut this down for your insecurities, but I'm going to open them up for you anyway. And just
Yeah.
poof. And they just shove you. I mean, we talked about positive fearless in the beginning. There were
Yeah.
opportunities that came up during our campaign that I was
Yeah.
like, how am I here?
Yeah.
How am I here when I was 110 pounds dying of AIDS, and now I'm
Wow.
sitting here, doing this?
Yeah.
Like, how's possible? That's so awesome. So for everybody watching, my good friend Guy Anthony is here with us today to talk about his HIV advocacy and his designer career, which we're
Yeah.
going to talk about in a minute.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, comments, or thoughts, please post them on your platform, whatever channel you're watching on. And if you're watching this on replay, please post your question, thoughts, or comments anyway, and I'll make sure I get them to him after the show. So continue. So you're in Atlanta now.
I'm in Atlanta now, and
What is your first advocacy thing?
Yeah, so I was working for an empowerment group or volunteering there because I was working at Nordstrom at the time, and I would go volunteer after work because I wanted to learn about I wanted to know everything about HIV and how it was affecting my body, right? And so I would volunteer there. I would host certain events. And at one point, I was surrounded by people that were living with HIV and talking so openly and transparently about it, which I had never experienced before. And so there was something that sparked in me. I remember I was at like a dinner party or something, and I had a lot of friends in Atlanta. And I think all of us were living with HIV, and we would all talk about it separately, but not together. And I just thought that that was quite interesting that we could talk about the sex that we were having, the drugs that we were doing or had done, the alcohol, but we wouldn't talk about our sexual health and wellness. And I had this idea. I said, I was talking to my mentor at that time, Craig Washington, and I was like, I want to do something. I want to do like a book or a guide. And, I want to tell these stories of people living with HIV and how, I wanted to affirm their existence, like they're worthy, they're beautiful, all those things. And he was like, okay, do it. And so I started to do my research and I started to pull some of the people around me. At one time, I had 10 people that I was interviewing and talking to about their diagnosis and, their journey with HIV. And I was like, I'm turning this into a book. And they were like, I'm down. 10 people, I'm down. And then when it came down to actually putting the book together, all of them dropped out except for 2. Because I think you can be confident in your diagnosis and in where you are, but putting it out there to the world is a whole nother beast. It's another animal, right? You open yourself up to critiques and the stigma associated with that sometimes people aren't ready for that. And that is your own business, right? I do not encourage anyone to talk as openly or freely as I do about HIV. It's up to you to disclose how you choose to disclose. And so I wasn't going to not do this book, this venture with these with 2 of my friends because other people dropped out. Because like I said, my steps are ordered, they're guided. I knew that there was something pushing me to do this. And so I just kept, the 2 in there. And so I sent over a copy to my mentor who's also living with HIV. And he's like, I asked him to write the foreword for the book. And at this time, I wasn't public about my status. He said, I will write the foreword when you put yourself in the book. I was like, fuck. Because I hadn't disclosed to my family. So I definitely wasn't going to put myself in the book if I hadn't disclosed publicly yet. He's like, you're getting all these stories from everybody else. You're encouraging people to be honest and truthful and share their story, but you won't share yours.
That's interesting. You were telling the story that you were even part of.
Exactly.
Wow. They just blew my mind right now. Like, how many times have you done that?
How many times, right? Like we remove ourselves because we compartmentalize our stories in some capacity, one or another. And so I was like, okay, I said, well, you know what? Challenge accepted. And so I knew that in order for me to put myself, if I was going to disclose to the world, I had to disclose to my mom first. She had to be the first to know. And when I tell you that was the most difficult call I ever had, but I did it. And I felt I just felt such relief after, because we're very close, my mom and I. And so just disclosing that to her, I felt invincible. And one of my favorite quotes is, it is being honest about my pain that makes me invincible. And I truly believe that. And so once I told her, I could tell the world. And that's exactly what I did. In 2012, on World AIDS Day, I released a guide, Positively Beautiful. And that's literally how I got into this work. After I released that book, the next year I moved to DC and got a job at a CBO doing treatment adherence work with people living with HIV.
Wow. I'm writing this down because it's so good. It's being honest about myself that makes me invincible. I love that.
About my pain. It is being honest about my pain that makes me invincible. Invincible, yeah.
About my pain. Let me change that. About my pain.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna make sure we save this one for future. What happened here? Okay. We have a question on the board for you.
Okay.
Let me bring this up. It says, Guy, now that we're in the era of PrEP, how has your approach to advocacy changed? How have you adapted your approach in a generation of people who no longer believe protection is necessary?
In terms of policy, because that's what I've gone from patient to provider to policy now. And so what I understand about the policy, I think that it is an incredible addition to your toolbox, right? So having conversations now with my friends that are on PrEP, and now I think Gilead just introduced a new shot that can be taken, twice a year. So having those open and honest conversations with people that are on PrEP, I think has done marvels for what I do in terms of advocacy and in policy. So I just think that it's an incredible addition to a toolbox.
And I to add to your answer, I think it's really important. I hear from a lot of our colleagues in advocacy who are living with HIV that feel like we no longer need to talk about PrEP because we're living with it. But I think, no, we're exactly the people that should be promoting for folks who are not living with HIV to get on PrEP if you feel like it's necessary. So everybody should be talking about it. So let's not.
I agree. And I have a best friend that, he will call me to ask me about PrEP, and he would tell me about, how often he has sex and if he does have, raw sex. And I'm like, I think you're a great candidate for PrEP, And he's like, well, I don't know if I want to be committed to taking a pill every day. And so I run down some of the facts and I connect him to people. And now he is on PrEP. And so I think, like I said earlier, about the addition with the twice yearly shot that Gilead is introducing, now it's even more incentive to take PrEP. Because if you only have to go get that shot twice a year, why not?
If this was available when I was diagnosed,
I know, I wish.
Because just like you, I share a past in drugs and alcohol, and all those times of unprotected sex and strangers in my bedroom and not know, had there been an option out there at that time, of course, we can't go back in time, but
I know
now we can use those traumatic moments
absolutely
to do good. And that's one of the things I really admire about you and about the Positively Fearless group, is that we took those moments of, I always say, if you remember to plant the seeds when you're in the valley, they will grow, and you can use them when you're at your peak. And that's something that we've done. So, but let's move on, because we're halfway through the show, and
I know we can talk forever.
I want to make sure that we talk also about your designer career.
Yes.
So, COVID kicks in. We stopped traveling, because for those of you who followed us during my Positively Fearless era, and no, we traveled a lot. We were on the road a lot. But then COVID kicked in, and we stopped traveling. We were home. And that's when you decide to restart your designing career.
Absolutely. And so
where did that come?
It happened. So I also, full disclosure, I also live with bipolar disorder. And so if you know anything about bipolar disorder, it's not just about mood swings, but sometimes I am in mania. And during a manic episode, I was feeling so creative, and I was sitting at home with my thoughts, and I took advantage of that mania, and I just started to sketch, because I'm at home, we were doing our work, telework and stuff like that. And so I'm like, you know what, Guy, I want to, a dear friend told me, he said, Guy, why don't you a la carte every single one of your talents and get paid for them? And I was like, that makes sense. I can a la carte my talent. I never thought about it that way, because it's always, okay, if I'm full advocate mode, I'm full speed ahead in advocate mode. He's like, no, you have other talents. Make them work for you. And so I remember I had my music playing, I was sketching, and I came up with the shape that I liked. And it's this shape. Can't see it, but yeah. So, and I was just like, okay, cool. And so I think when I say I'm tenacious, there you go. Oh, I love it, brother. I told my friends about it. I showed them the sketch or whatever. There's like, guy, if anybody's going to do it, you're going to do it. And I'm like, okay. And so I have this rule. If I tell someone or say it out loud, I have to follow through, because I'm never going to look like a flake, or, guys just be talking about shit. He's never going to do it. So if I tell you and I let you know what I'm doing, I have to end up doing it. And so I went on Fiverr.com. I found a graphic designer. I found a manufacturer. I found all these things within about 6 months. And the following year, I had a bag line in production.
Wow.
And so it's just, I have a drive that I can't really explain, but then also the down parts, this, of having bipolar disorder that most people don't see, because I don't share those times often. I'm an interesting dichotomy of emotions all the time, because I'm super hyper and driven and happy, and then I'm also really sad and depressed sometimes. And so I think it's important for people to understand, that those two personalities, or that duality, can live in a person that is also really driven. Because I think, especially on social media, we're so conditioned to only show the highlights of our life, never the lowlights. And so I'm, making sure that I also include that there are very low moments for me, but that never affects my drive.
So let me ask you, since you opened up the conversation.
Yeah.
And I because I suffer from agoraphobia and social anxiety. People don't believe that I have social anxiety because I'm in the public, but they don't see the behind the scenes of getting ready. Like, they don't know the 20 minutes that I spend trying to get out the door.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it happens to you, but it's like 5 minutes before leaving that my other brain says, "Do we need to clean the refrigerator?"
I know. Oh, yeah. Yes.
Or where did I leave that one pen?
Yeah.
That I don't need, but I need to find right now. And
all the time. It happens all the time to me.
But how you being so conscious and knowing what's happening in the after effect?
Yeah.
Is there and I ask this because it happens to me. Is there a guilty moment where you're like, I can't believe this, I let my brain do this to me, or I can't believe I sabotaged this moment, or I flaked on something, or I canceled, or whatever it is that the anxiety made you do? Is there an aftershock when that happens?
I think it's more relief. Do you remember when we had to speak on Capitol Hill, on the steps of Capitol Hill, and at the last minute they asked me to speak? I just thought we were going to be there for moral support. Do you remember how freaked out I was? And I didn't even eat breakfast. Because I had to speak in front of people, and I was sweating, like I couldn't eat. My stomach was hurting. And I was literally having a mental breakdown in that moment. And I couldn't really show it or tell everybody, because everyone has such faith in me, which is valid, right? And then afterwards, I was like, the fuck was, like, why was I stressing so badly about it? Like, I know this work. I do this work. I'm surrounded by people that only want me to win. Like, why do we go into moments self-sabotaging and just thinking that people want the worst from us or for us? Like, I'm there because people want inspiration, and they want to see someone living openly, boldly, lovingly with HIV, and U equals U. Like, hello, I understand that, but I was so freaked out because I have to speak in front of people. And so, like, this is easier for me because, you're a trusted friend. This is a trusted space. I don't really know those people. And so I just always feel as though that they're judging me on every single thing that I do. But then that's also in my own head, because people are just probably as proud of me and want to see me succeed. But I have this defeatist attitude sometimes, and it does not serve me.
Yeah. And I remember that day. Before I say that, Humberto Orozco is saying, "Thank you for sharing your bipolar disorder diagnosis with this guy." So
no problem.
He's here watching.
You're
Thank
so
you,
welcome.
Humberto, for watching the show. If you have any comments or questions, please continue to post. But yeah, it's interesting to watch people that and the behind the stories.
Yeah.
And go, that's not him right now. And I remember that moment so clearly.
Yeah.
When you're, I feel, and we say that, Christian and I say that about me when my brain glitches and it's just not, it's for those of you that know CDs, when the CD would start skipping and it starts repeating the same word over, my brain does that. And Christian, my boyfriend, and I call it glitching. I'm like, you're glitching. So yeah. But I remember so clearly being on that front lawn of the Capitol, and you're speaking, and something happened on the side. I'm not going to go through the whole story. That's for another episode because she's not with us anymore, so I can't talk about her. But something happened on the sideline that made you skip, and I remember so clearly watching you glitch and going, "That's not him. Yeah. That's not him right now." And that's why everything is impacting him. And I was like, "You just got," but there's nothing you can do.
No, it's nothing. No.
And people wonder, like, can I do anything for you? You're like, you just need to step back. Give me space. Give me space.
I agree. And I think that has helped. I remember doing a plenary, like a big major plenary for UACHA with what I think it was J&J. When I tell you I was shitting bricks, Daniel, I was so nervous. You know, a plenary is a big deal. Yeah. And I was like going through it. I didn't eat all day. I just probably had like 2 or 3 cups of coffee. And the moment I walked on that stage, saw my prompts, I became Guy Anthony. And, you know, I think like you have that too. When we're on, I remember we were on the schedule and we were at an event in DC. What is the HRC? And you got on the mic and you were nervous before, you were quiet, you were just processing. And there's something that turns on when you got on the mic. And I was just like, oh my God, like this is my brother. He's brilliant. You were telling jokes, you were heartfelt. Like it's something that is in us that we can be stressing all day about something. And the moment it's time to turn it on, we turn it on like nobody's business. And I think that's true for all of us, the Fearless Five. We just turn it on. And so, but it also helps that we are surrounded by people that love us and know us.
Yeah. I tell people there's Daniel Garza.
Yeah.
And there's Daniel G. Garza.
Exactly.
And to know me is to know that both of them, when they're not working together, it's chaos. And I can get so in my head. And then, but after, when the microphone's off, that's why I was asking, because I look at myself like, did I do well? Did I speak well? Because it's like, it's not me anymore. And I can forget. Well, you know, that's one of the reasons also, for those of you watching the show that know me from conferences, that's one of the reasons I give out hearts.
Yeah.
I give out hearts because it allows me to release some of that pent up energy that I have in me. And so when I walk around, cool. Yeah, thank you. When I walk around and give people hearts, it allows me to release some of that energy that I accumulate. By the way, I wanted to show this one too because I have.
Oh yeah, my wallet, the Ailey wallet.
So for those of you looking, we're going to show the website in a minute, but this is the wallet. I haven't used it because I don't want it to get used, but I'm going to use it. It's just like wallet. I just like because this was the parting gift that guy gave us when we at the end of the campaign, and it's just so like emotionally charged. I'm like, but it will. I'm waiting for my next Europe trip. So
okay,
I can take this with me. So here we go.
Take me to Europe. Okay.
So we're at 20 minutes till. So let me show your webpage so you can talk about it.
Yes. So that's go over.
Can you walk us through it? Start from the beginning?
Okay. So a little bit of story behind the name. So Grover, during a planning session and design session, I use my Alexa for music. And so I was listening. It just so happened jazz, it just calms me down, obviously. And so a song came on called Just the Two of Us, and it's by Grover Washington Jr. and Bill Withers. And for some reason, that name Grover just stuck in my head. And so I had about 2 other names, and I sent those 3 names to like my friend group to like vote on the one that they liked the most. And they were like, we love Grover. Grover's the one. And that's how it happened. And so this is Kyle, who was the face of our campaign from last year. 2 years ago. Just a beautiful Black man, child. But also I like an easy shoppable page, right? Home, shop, about, and contact. And so I named my bags after Black luminaries. So the bag that Daniel showed and the one that I showed is named after James Baldwin. And I also I always have a tie. Yes, so that's the Baldwin, and the wallet is named after Alvin Ailey. And like my whole career, whether it be public health or Black Gifted and Whole or Grover, it's to pay homage, to celebrate Blackness in its entirety, right? In its richness and its wholeness. And so I wanted to name my bags after literary legends, right? So a book that changed my life was Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. So I had to pay it back. And the Ailey wallet, I went to a performing arts high school and middle school. And I danced in an Alvin Ailey dance. And I had to pay homage to him as well. And so I have a couple other things that I'm brewing and working on with different bag shapes and different ideas and stuff like that. And they will always be about like named after like Black legends, luminaries, people that have continuously moved the culture forward. And I think that that's what I'm trying to do, because my bags and all my stuff, they're unisex, right? And so why not? I think that fashion should not have a gender. It should be agender, right?
Okay, so first I want to pop up this message. So our good friend Joseph.
Oh, Joseph!
Thank you, Joseph, for watching. He says, I missed the Fearless Five. So happy to see you both and learn more about your story, guy. Yeah, we're hearing stories that we normally, because we used to just repeat the same stories over and over again sometimes.
Okay, exactly.
On the tours. So it's so good to hear some other stories from Guy and know more about him. Joseph, we miss you too. And I get to see Joseph every once in a while because we're both in the area. So love you, Joseph. And then I want to know, if I get both the black and the orange bag, will I get that body too, or does that come with the package? I just want to know.
I should start selling the bodies. Oh, because look at so that's Eric. That's Eric Dawson.
Does Eric deliver the packages?
He might.
I'm just curious.
You might. And I styled that shoot too. I pulled because I also did styling in Atlanta when I was there. So yeah, and so another reason, if you look, the books are all James Baldwin books, and I wanted them to look worn because I read them. I actually read the books, and so I really wanted to go at my own pace, right? Because in the fashion industry and fast fashion, everything is so pushed down our throats all the time, and I am not competing with other designers. I'm not competing with anybody ever in any capacity. So I'm introducing colorways that I like, that I want to see in my closet, because I'm a collector of bags. Before I started to design a bag, I wear bags. You know that I'm a bag, And so the wallet just made sense because my mom was like, I carry the bag, but I need a wallet. And so I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. And so I have some other things that are brewing that I'm going to introduce soon. But yeah, my motto is slow and steady wins the race. So I'm going, if I have to go at a snail's pace, I will go at a snail's pace because I've already won. I took something from a thought and turned it into a product line. Most people just have thoughts that they never put into work. And so in the way in which I did it, I've already won the prize. So everything else is just par for the course.
Yeah. And that brown one.
Oh yeah, it's my baby.
That brown color with my boots. I'm thinking ahead for my birthday for Christmas. So for anybody out there that is like, what can I possibly get Garza for his birthday? Yeah. I need the brown one. Just to let you know. And if you can deliver Eric with it, I will definitely.
I got you. I'll see if he's available.
I just hello, Eric. If you are watching this, I don't want to what is it? Break you down just to a piece of meat, but boy.
Well, I also know what I'm doing. I also know what I'm doing.
So we are at the part of the show now where I like to share, or I ask my guests to share some words of wisdom. So, Guy Anthony, what words of wisdom do you have for our listeners or watchers?
I always say the one thing that literally changed my life is a quote. It says, do your own thing on your own terms and get what you came here for. And I mentioned that earlier, like I do my own thing on my own terms and I get what Guy came here for, right? Like not from what my parents or my family or my friends, none of those people can impact what I'm on this earth to do and to get out of this life. And so I just encourage people to just do your own thing and don't be afraid to do your own thing and get your, those tiny victories are important too, right? Me not doing drugs is monumental for me because there was a time where I thought that I couldn't live without them. So that's a tiny victory for me. And someone that has never done drugs, that they might not have that tiny victory that I have, right? And that enlightenment that I have from that. So yeah, just do your own thing on your own terms.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that. There's been things, and by the way, this is my boyfriend Christian who's commenting. It's like, is this your hall
Is this your hall pass?
No, babe. No, that is not my hall pass. That is a birthday present. Hello.
Yes.
I just clarified that. It's a birthday present. Birthday presents don't count as hall passes.
Yes.
There are things that I did early in my, and I really, really consider the beginning of this level of advocacy when I moved to California 16 years ago. And there are things that I started doing 16 years ago that most people wouldn't understand. Most people were like, why are you doing this? Like volunteering a lot. Why are you volunteering? Why are you sharing your time? Like the hearts. Some people were like, why are you? And I was like, it comes from my spirit. My soul is telling me to do it. Let me. And then I went into Reiki and I went into spiritual coaching and now develop my coaching programs. But they all started from that drive.
Yeah.
My soul was saying, do this. Let them think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Let them think you're crazy. That just means that nobody else is going to do what you're doing.
Absolutely. And you have the best drive of anyone that I know. Your drive is insane. I remember you would be like, I'm on a flight, I'm doing an audition, or I'm doing a show, and I'm just like, where do you find all the time to do all this work and still remain upbeat? Because, personally, I know things are not always great, but the way that you always show up for everybody is admirable. And I think that that's why we all love you, Daniel, is because you're just a good person at the heart of it.
Well, and I'm not to play down the part, but I'm gonna put it in this way.
Yeah.
I believe that almost everybody in everybody that I know that is at and I say this humbly, at this level of advocacy and love for life, we've all had that moment in the apartment tied up.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? We've all had, and you can parentheses whatever it is, your life, whatever rock bottom moment was for you, whatever, and symbolically, whatever moment in your life when you were tied up,
yes,
and you broke free, what does that freedom mean to you, and how much do you value it? And that's where I personally get my energy, because I remember being in the hospital diagnosed with AIDS for 3 weeks and having a priest come into my room to want to talk to me, and me thinking, they think I'm going to die. Yeah. Like they're ready for me to die. And I'm like, I'm not ready. Like,
I'm not ready.
I'm not ready. So that for me, Houston, Texas, September 2000 was my version of your story. I was tied up. And the moment that God said, I'm going to untie you. Yeah. But what are you going to do with this time now?
Absolutely.
And well, here we are. Nobody would give me a shot at my own talk show. So I created my own. And
I know. I love that.
Yeah. If you want to follow Guy, make sure you check him out at his Instagram at I am Guy Anthony on Instagram. Please go check out. We're not done yet. We still have about 10 minutes, but I want to make sure that get it. Make sure you check out GroverNYC.com for the selection of the 3 bags. This is the black bag, and it comes with a strap. I just haven't put the strap on. That sounded weird. This morning I haven't put the strap on. And check out the wallet. These are really cool wallets.
Yes, and they're full grain leather, right? They're 100% leather. And that's what I tell people. If I'm going to do something, like that is maybe the 3rd version of that wallet that I had, because I'm a stickler for great quality items that do not break the bank. Like, why does luxury have to be so expensive, right? Like, and that's one of my mottos: luxury for everybody, every day. because I share a factory with, I'm not going to name it, but a high luxury brand, and I know how much their bags cost to make. Why are you doing a 300% markup on a bag that costs like $25 to make? You know, at some point, I understand people need to make a profit, but I want to make people good quality products that won't break their bank. $120, to be fair, that is still probably a high price point for certain people, but a quality bag that is going to last for years for $120, I think it's an investment. A quality bag or a bag made in the same factory that you're charging $3,000 for, it doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not trying to rape people's pockets, you know? And so I've already made my investment back. Nice. Just by being honest about my price points in the leather, and people will support that. And so I'm on this journey with Grover that I never expected to be on. But if there was one good thing that came out of COVID, it was that. It sat me down to tap back into my passions.
So one of the final questions I have for you, where is Guy Anthony today?
Guy Anthony is great. He's on his way to brunch. Okay. Bottomless mimosas are calling my name. But no, Guy Anthony is content. I think for the first time in a very long time, I am doing the work that I want to do and not the work that I have to do. And I think that in our advocacy, sometimes we're taking gigs that we don't want to do per se, but we have to because we need that money, right? We need that little $100 a post. My savings are looking great. My bills are paid. I got some extra money in my retirement. My bag line is doing well. My organization's doing well. My friendships are thriving. My family is thriving. Those little tiny victories that I never imagined I would have when I was diagnosed at 21, I am living my dream. I'm living my childhood self wildest dream. And I am prepared for those dark days because they do come and they will come. But I'm more prepared now than ever before.
That's awesome. I think Christian was trying to send an emoji. I don't think the emoji came through.
Get it together, Christian.
It says, yellow go, but I don't think, was that what you were intending to text? I think it was an emoji that came through. We've had, there's a lot of out there about you and the HIV advocacy, but I'm so proud of you and thank you for opening up about mental health. He's amazing. Yeah, he is amazing.
Thank you, Christian.
We know, and we're not a political show, but we know that in the current climate, particularly for the LGBTQIA2S community and those of people of color, we are going through some stressful moments.
We are.
And where if you are not on top of your mental health, things can go south very quickly. What message do you have for the people watching that could be caught up in the mental health issues?
Disconnect when you have to. I am a political person. I follow everything, but I'm not in charge of all the problems in the world. So if I can disconnect responsibly, then I will disconnect. We talk about self-care sometimes as a commodity, right? So, sometimes self-care isn't just, getting a massage or something. Sometimes self-care is eating the worst junk food in the world and turning on your safe, space TV show that you love that brings you joy. I was watching Moesha the other day because I needed a mental health day. Because I wasn't feeling well and I needed a mental health day. And I remember how I felt growing up watching Moesha with Brandy. And so that was my little piece of self-care for that moment, was watching a show that brought me joy in my childhood. So just those small things that we can all do, but disconnect. You don't have to read every article. You don't have to watch every breaking news segment. You don't have to. And if it's smart for you to disconnect. Be, abreast of what's happening in the world, but I don't need to know about every single crash that is happening in the world. At one point I was glued to the TV every day because there was an anticipation, like, okay, when's the next one going to happen? And I realized like that was stressing me out. because I have friends that travel a lot, right? So you do want to be aware and abreast of things that are happening, but I'm not going to keep my channel on CNN or MSNBC all day anymore. I just cannot take that, you know? So if I'm finding a little piece of joy for myself at, you know, unlimited mimosas on a Saturday, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I'm headed, I'm headed to the dollar store after this. I have a couple of errands to run, but I'm going to Dollar Tree because I'm like, I can get lost in there for like a good hour.
Yes, yes.
I don't have to buy more than $10 worth of stuff, but just to walk around and see things. And I'm so with you. I love going retro. So I go Designing Women, Golden Girls, Cheers, all those old shows before cell phones. Right now, I'm a Ghost Whisperer thing. So I've been watching.
Oh my God, you took it all the way back.
Yeah, I'm like, let's get some Ghost Whisperer at the end of the day just to disconnect. Because I love watching Jennifer Love Hewitt cry. There's just something about like, cry, girl, cry.
Yes.
And so it's so good. Advocacy. Are we going to see you at some of the conferences this year? Are you gearing up for that?
Yes, I think so. I know. Do they make it known? I think so. I think I can say that. I'm an advisor this year for Healthy Voices.
Yes.
Finally. I'm the last of the Mohicans, okay? But no, so I'm an advisor for that, which is exciting for me. You know, we talked about it last year, but this is what I, always wanted to be an advisor. And I'll probably do some other stuff. I'm doing a lot of policy stuff, 340B space, drug importation work, a lot of policy stuff, which does not account for me to be in front of the camera too much anymore, which I appreciate. I think Positively Fearless was the last campaign that I really wanted to be in front of the camera for. So yeah, just a lot of advocacy stuff in terms of writing papers, white papers, and that kind of stuff.
Nice. Well, you have a home here. Anytime you want to promote anything, Grover. Yeah. Anything new with Grover? Anything new that's coming up?
So I'm looking at. I guess I can share here. Yeah, I want to do clutches. I'm in the clutch space right now.
Nice.
So yeah, you'll be seeing some stuff. I want to say within the next like 4 or 5 months.
Nice.
And book bags, clutches and book bags.
Oh, book bags. Yeah, I kept thinking, especially for those of us, a belt to go with the bags would be always.
Oh yeah. Of course, and those are cheaper to produce. Yes, for sure.
Putting that out there, just putting it out there.
With the G, I like that.
Just saying a cute pair of jeans, a nice pair of boots, and a bag. I'm already designing my birthday outfit with this. So
look, you never know. I have so many places to go with it, and I'm glad. Like it's just, I can do so many things with the line. So I appreciate that.
Well, congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, brother.
It is such a. I'm going to show the picture again, just to focus. This is for those of you that missed the beginning of the show. This is the first photo shoot that we had together as Positively Fearless. And for those of you, that's Robert, Kamara, Jalov, me, and then Guy. And that was the first photo shoot that we had together in New York. It was out in some warehouses.
In Brooklyn.
Was it in Brooklyn? Yeah, I don't remember, but it was the first time we got photographed together as a campaign. And I don't want to cry, but such good memories.
I
know. I've known you long enough to know that you will succeed and that you're a thriver and you're a fighter. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, brother. Stop, because I can't do it. I love you.
Not before shopping. Not before shopping.
No, not before shopping.
and I'm not wearing the mascara for crying.
I know.
But for those of you that knew us during Positively Fearless, it was a love campaign. It was a hard campaign. We had some great moments. We hit some walls.
Yes.
And we survived it. And we came through. But I always knew, and I will say this story to the end of my life. There was that moment in that hotel lobby right before they picked us up to go to that photo shoot. And I stopped the five of us and said, look around, because our lives are about to change. And for sure, our lives did. I mean, we all went on to do bigger, greater, just challenge our lives. And I think that's been one of the pleasures of knowing you and the rest of the group is knowing how you challenge your life to be better. And I applaud you doing that. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, brother. And I echo everything you said for you. I'm extremely proud of you. You always make a way. So thank you for having me on. I appreciate you for sharing your space with me. So I love you so much.
All right. I'm going to put you in the green room. Don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Come back and say goodbye. Just say goodbye, everybody. For everybody watching, thank you so much for joining us. This by far has been one of the favorite episodes of the season. And we're just starting my new season. So make sure that you join us. And don't forget, every Monday is the Crab and Goat Show. Join us for 90 minutes of spiritual messages, alignment sessions, and card readings. It's 5 o'clock, 8 p.m. Pacific. All you got to do is join for those readings. On Wednesdays, it's the Kristen and Daniel Show at 6 p.m. Join me and my boyfriend Christian for an hour of chit-chat, conversations, and our favorite shows of the week. And then remember, Saturday mornings is Put It Together live stream for more conversations like this. If you or somebody you know is a good candidate for the show, send us a message just go over to littlemexicanproductions.com for more information. Just sign in, send us a message, and tell us that you want to be on the show. And you can come and share your story just like I did today. For now, I want to thank you all. Have a great Saturday. My name is Daniel G. Garza, and hey, put it together. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.